If you're in payroll, benefits, or compliance, you know how quickly those headaches can pile up. But with Deal, it doesn't have to be that way. Deal PEO makes hiring in the U.S. simple.
And right now, you can get up to 3 months free. Just head over to deal.com/workdefined. That's DEEL.com/WRK defined. Welcome back, folks. There's another episode of It's About Payroll. We're up to 185, I think, now. And before we introduce our guest, how you doing, Walt?
Man, I am great. I'm excited for tonight's guest. I'm going to let the intro do the justice for her because she's pretty awesome. I did some research, did some
Nice.
intel, but she's
Good.
a powerhouse in the industry, man. So I'm super excited for tonight's episode. How about you, man?
Likewise, bro. So without further ado, tonight's guest is an industry powerhouse, 18-year certified payroll professional, and a true bridge between payroll operations and HR technology. Trista Yerkich-Faul. You got to help me with the name, Trista. I'm sorry.
Yerkich-Faul.
Yerkich-Faul.
Yerkich-Faul. You got it.
All right. Fell into payroll, as many do, in 2004, which doesn't sound like it was long ago, but it was, and never stopped leveling up. By 2007, she had her CPP and was leading PEO payroll and implementation teams. Wow, quick turnaround, setting standards long before most people even knew what payroll could be. She went on to help major organizations, especially energy companies, navigating M&A, that's mergers and acquisitions, modernize their HR and payroll tech. Their journey led her to Workday in 2016, where for 7 years, she served as a top-tier HCM consultant, helping customers envision a smarter, more connected future. Today, Trista is a deployment account executive with 3 Link solutions, guiding small, mid-sized businesses also through Workday implementations that unify HCM, payroll, and finance. She's a strategist, a technologist, and one of the sharpest payroll minds in the game. Please welcome the phenomenal Trista Yerkich-Faul.
Thank you both so much. That intro was very kind, and it made me realize, in fact, how long I've been doing this.
Right? I mean, I look at the years. Oh gosh. And just a quick, I'm working with a amazing young lady, and we were talking about 9/11, and what somebody asked her, what were you doing? She was like, I was 1.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. That makes me feel old.
That definitely helps age us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I was just like, oh gosh. So yeah, before we get into a great conversation, we always like to share some news. Walt, what you got for us?
Yeah, so I found an article on payescape.com. It's a blog. So I Googled the question, how often do businesses change payroll providers every year? And so this speaks to that. And so it says it's more common than many people realize. Lots of it is due to dissatisfaction with their payroll services that leads to thousands of companies switching annually. So it says that research indicates that approximately 1 in 4, or about 25% of those businesses, change their payroll provider every year.
That's crazy.
So that is
Trista,
crazy.
you're saying yes? Have you guys come across those numbers?
It's very expensive. It's very common, and it is a very expensive proposition. It's not just hard dollar costs. There's soft dollar costs associated with that, right? Change management and learning something new. And I could go on and on. Yeah. Wow. It is shocking how many times folks go through a switch without thinking about all of the long-term implications.
Wow.
There's so much that goes. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a good one.
Before I pass it on, I just wanted to speak to this because I know that we talk about our level of service that we provide, especially as payroll pros. Mm-hmm. It said that approximately 40% of businesses cited poor customer service as the primary reason for leaving.
Oh my gosh. Yep. Me and you were just in conversations with a roundtable about that, and that was the theme. Trista, comments?
I think that at the end of the day, payroll waits for no one, right? And timeliness and accuracy is everything. So we don't have hours to wait for customer service when we need it. But
Yeah.
again, just having done this now a long time, it really depends on how much ownership you have in your software, right? Do you have
Yes.
the ability to go in and adjust those things that are causing issues, or am I dependent on a 1-800 number, right? And I think that absolutely, we hear that more commonly than anything else in the Workday ecosystem.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So what do you got, Brian?
I came across this company named Rise, and I thought it was an LMS that we used to deal with back in the day, but I get it's probably also this company here separately. But anywho, Rise, RISE,
Mhm.
and they're a cross-border payments payroll solution. But what catches my eye with news is crypto, AI, things like, right? I'm paying
Mhm.
attention to the cutting edge things. And this fast, compliant, and crypto enabled, Rise's growth mirrors the global shift toward borderless hiring, on chain financial infrastructure through its hybrid fiat and crypto payroll system. Rise enables companies to fund in fiat currency, stablecoins, or cryptocurrency, automate compliance, and gives contractors as well as employees the freedom to withdraw earnings in their preferred currencies.
Mm.
I mean, we've had this conversation. We had a company named Runa on a few weeks ago, kind of same type of thing that everybody's reimagining the cross-border payments. So very interesting. The link will be in the show notes, and you guys, folks, can check it out.
Yeah.
Trista, do you guys have you are you guys are you guys talking about that at all? And what does that
Yeah,
look like?
it's interesting because it almost sounds like EOR meets something on the comp side that
Right.
many companies struggle to address, especially if they're more domestically based or they've been, really just in the US. And then as they start to expand, looking for those global employment of record options that might like co-employ and pay and
Yep.
do currency conversion. I'm not familiar with Rise myself, but definitely lots of interesting things going on with so
Yeah.
many US companies having a global footprint.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. Really early on when we started doing this, I was so surprised about all the companies that are out there, millions and millions of dollars that we never heard of. Right? They're regional, they're across the globe, and it's like, wow, in the US we kind of hear about the same group,
Yep.
Mhm.
right? And it's just the same conversation. So I'd love to
Mhm.
throw in these new, folks that may have never heard of it. But let's talk about the company that we have heard of a lot, and that big myth that we originally connected on. People often assume that Workday is out of reach for smaller companies. From your perspective, is Workday really too expensive for small businesses, or is there more to the story?
That's a fantastic question, Brian, and I'm thankful that you posed it. And then I have an opportunity and a platform to kind of dispel that myth. Workday
Absolutely.
was created 20 years ago by Dave Duffield and Anil Bousri. Dave Duffield may be a name that folks have heard of, but he created PeopleSoft back in the day, in the
Oh
late
gosh,
80s. So when you
I did
start
not
to
know that.
think, yeah, when you start to think about a mind that built a loved system so many years ago, and then ultimately kind of, after a takeover, Oracle took PeopleSoft over in the early 2000s. He then said, what can I do next? How can I learn from the past and create even a better tool using technology of today? And that's how Workday started. And it very much was known as a system for large, Fortune 50, Fortune 500 customers. And that really truly has not been dispelled in recent years. And that's exactly what I do in my role, is help customers understand that Workday is for everyone now. And Workday
Wow.
has come down market specifically in the last handful of years to meet the emerging enterprise, medium enterprise size businesses. Say we understand that a very long 8+ month and multi-hundred thousands of dollars deployment, it doesn't make sense for a 150 employee organization or even
Yeah.
a 500 employee organization.
Mhm.
So we spend a lot of time in conjunction with Workday. We are a Workday only partner, so we don't
Oh
support
wow.
any other vendors out there.
Oh
And
wow.
we've always been Workday only for the decade, almost decade we've been in business. And we said, how can we get customers up and running faster? Because there are companies that want Workday that feel that it's out of reach. And that's what I spend my day, every single day doing, is working with prospective customers who want Workday. They've heard that their life can be better. They've heard that payroll goes from weeks to days and hours. It becomes such a different process when you have a system of ownership. But we have been very deliberate about making sure to bring the price point down to a reasonable amount for a small and medium-sized business to consume and own Workday.
Amazing.
Wow. So I know I have this question here, but it made me want to ask you a different question now before we move on, right?
Of course.
So with your expertise and your experience in payroll, how has that helped you as you've navigated this new venture or this new part of your journey that you're in?
Well, I love that question because I think I have a fairly atypical career path for a payroll professional, right? I fell into payroll 21 years ago. I loved it, had a passion for it, led payroll teams for many years, did implementations, and then I went from doing the work to helping others use better software to do the work that I did. So, in fact, where maybe some payroll professionals might say, oh, I don't know if I could have a career path ultimately into sales like what I do today, or pre-sales, demoing product like I did at Workday, I actually get to connect with prospective customers in a way that a career salesperson can't, because I can talk to them about, hey, 90% of HR transactions impact payroll, and who's the last one to know? Payroll, right? We're always the last one to know anything. And so that creates a camaraderie between myself and the team that I'm working with, because they understand that I get it. And I'm not just talking at them, but I've lived the pain of manual prorations and calculating the regular rate of pay by hand, and retros that don't calculate properly, and then I have no real record of why they happened. And so truly, when Workday was built, that was the whole idea. How do we make life easier for payroll? Because all roads in HR software lead to payroll. But unfortunately, most systems don't actually connect directly to payroll, or it's a totally different database.
Yep. Love that. So let me ask you my question that I was supposed to ask now. So what have you learned about building affordable, realistic pathways for SMBs that want that enterprise level tech without the enterprise level cost?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. We've learned that adoption, and specifically what we would call rolling adoption, is critical, right? So we're not going in with this big bang, buy everything under the sun. Not only is that very expensive, we tend to not have the appetite as a smaller organization to even digest it, right? So let's think of Workday as, eating the elephant. You're going to eat it bite by bite. It's a fantastic product, but there is an MVP that can allow customers to get live in 60 days, which is insane when you think of an enterprise level software, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to get live in that 60 days with product that is really going to help them immediately upon go live see improvements in things like how quickly their payroll gets processed, the ownership process, visibility, and all of those sorts of things. Now we have MVP up, we can really truly roll out other product within weeks after go live. Now that creates a more affordable option, but it also is allowing it to be a more consumable option, right? Because we can be really overwhelmed by an implementation and say, we don't like this product. And it has nothing to do with the product. It has all to do with the strategy that was surrounding the product, or feeling like things have to be done from scratch. And I know we'll talk a little bit about plug and play package solutions and those sorts of things, but Workday being a SaaS solution allows a lot of flexibility there. But I would say the name of the game is adoption. If we can adopt over time, we make it more consumable and more digestible.
Wow.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I love what you said about like kind of rolling implementation, because what I've seen is that some of the vendors don't like to do that. They don't want to do that. It's you got to argue now, and approaching it as a strategy is got to be a game changer. I love that for 3Link. That's awesome. So one thing you brought up also was that the deployment costs for Workday have come down and that the pricing can truly be tailored. can you break down what that looks like in practice, especially for companies that might only want to start with like core HCM and payroll?
Yeah, fantastic question. So Workday Go is a more quick adoption of Workday that many people have probably heard on, maybe an advertisement or a commercial. There's a lot out there, especially on some of the sports channels, especially around golf, right?
Oh, okay.
Hearing some of that branding is get live on Workday quickly. And that package, while certainly we are going to tailor that to each customer, when we talk about the price of what Workday used to be for deployment, kind of on a average, we are looking right now at about like 10 to 15% of that for an MVP go live in about 60 days. So while it's not a one size fits all, it's not everybody's going to see the same price because not every customer needs the same things, right? So we very much tailor it to understand phase one is going to look like this. Here's what that package looks like. Phase two, are we going to bring in, other components of Workday that are going to play really nicely with everything else we got up in MVP, including payroll, right? So maybe, for example, a customer wants to deploy advanced compensation, not part of the phase one project for a 60-day project, but very much we know our friends in compensation, even though we have very distinct roles, right, between payroll and compensation, not the same. Those friends in comp go through a focal period every year that is going to go, merit. It's going to look at bonus. It's going to look at maybe equity. That seamlessly being integrated right into payroll because they are on the same code line within Workday. We're not, making two systems talk to each other. Now that phase two package is played right nicely into what we've been able to get live in phase one. So I say all that to say, there's not a one size fits all. There's not a one price that fits all, but roughly we're seeing on average between 10 to 15% of what deployment costs were 10 years ago today. So it's worth the conversation. The main point, of course, we want to get across is if you're sitting at a smaller company and you'd say, I've heard great things about Workday, or I use Workday at a really big company, right? And I would love what it could do for our organization. They're no longer just hoping, they're feeling comfortable to pick up the phone, right? Whether that's call Workday, call 3Link. Again, there's just so many options there, but know that it's well within reach.
I love it. I love it. And that was, and I'm sorry, well, that's what got us here, right? Because a colleague of yours reached out to me and was like, hey, Workday Go, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, we're sorry, too late, but and we talked a little bit. I said, I think we're too small, la, la, la. And he's like, no, Workday Go does it. And I said, really? I was like, wait, we didn't know that. And hey, look, I can't get you in this door, but I'd love for you to come on and teach our audience and like inform our audience that Workday Go is an option at more lean and mean, organizations that didn't think it was in grasp. So I'm like so happy that you were able to come on and 3Link was able to share this with us because we didn't know. We really didn't know. And if I didn't know, and I'm like, I keep my ears to the, to the payroll beat, right? Then I know someone else didn't know either.
Well, we appreciate the invitation. Batson called me, right away after your conversation because he knows I'm the payroll guru. Yes. And I said, I'd love to come on and kind of not just dispel the myth, but also, this topic, my husband thinks I'm hilarious and kind of nerdy. Let's just take out the kind of very nerdy.
We got to get you a payroll nerd.
Yes.
Troy, get one to Trista.
I appreciate that so much. My husband thinks I am the biggest nerd. And I told him I was doing a payroll podcast and how excited I was. And he said, oh my gosh, I love you. You're a nerd.
That's right. Oh, Troy, I'm going to reach out right now.
I love that. Yep. So I love the idea of businesses being able to grow into the system instead of trying to buy or consume everything on day one. So how does Workday help small businesses consolidate their tech stack and avoid feeling overwhelmed during the transition?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about this early on, and I want to kind of come back full circle in terms of companies moving from system to system frequently. I don't always see that it's every year, but certainly every 2 or 3 years. And unfortunately, the reason why is because they're trying to solve a problem today and they're trying to solve today's problem. But they're not necessarily, it's so painful. They're not looking at what are we going to do again in 3 years when the pain comes back for a different reason because we didn't look at long term.
Pace of change in the world of business is fast, and that drives incredible complexity for the world of human resources.
Welcome to the HR Data Lab's Brown Bag Lunch, a series of conversations with experts inside and outside the world of human resources on how to innovate, measure, and evolve our practices.
Our goal is to help provide you with practical examples of how HR has to change and to meet in this complex business environment.
Every week, we'll talk to new and different voices on all aspects of human resources.
And guess what? You get to chat with us live.
Live?
Live.
So they can answer questions or they can ask us questions.
They can ask, they can answer, whatever they want. They get to talk with us live.
That's awesome.
Sometimes we geek out on the data and technology that underlie the processes that drive the world of HR.
But the conversations are always insightful and fun. So please enjoy the HR Data Lab's Brown Bag Lunch.
Yep.
And that's the value proposition of Workday, right? Again, an enterprise type level system, incredible system, but we can still get MVP live and benefit from the fact that it truly is a product on a single code line. And now any change or growth that we have, we're not going to outgrow Workday. We're not going to outgrow the system. All we have to do is turn on new functionality because it's all there.
I use Shipt same-day delivery to stay connected with my sister during the holidays. She lives across the country. Shipt has tons of stores to order from. Groceries from Albertsons, crafts from Michael's, even pet supplies from PetSmart. The list goes on. So when we have long-distance movie nights, I turn to Shipt to get face masks, snacks, and everything else we need delivered to her and to me same day. Download the app or visit shipt.com. That's SHIPT.com.
Wow.
Right? So think of it as turning on light switches instead of having to rip and replace software every 3 years, which again, I mentioned is very expensive from a deployment and ownership perspective, but there is change management, learning a new system, the frustration. Sometimes we lose staff because, not everybody is equipped or wants to go through that kind of a change. And so to be able to adopt across time, to be able to consolidate the tech stack and never have to worry about going and finding another system. That's a lot of customers I talk to owned Workday at a larger company, and they call and say, hey, I'm now at like a 200 employee company.
The pace of change in the world of business is fast, and that drives incredible complexity for the world of human resources.
Welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast, a series of conversations with experts inside and outside the world of HR on how to innovate, measure, and evolve our practices.
Our goal is to help provide you with practical examples of how HR has to change to meet the complexity of the business environment.
Every week, we'll talk to new and different voices on all aspects of HR.
And at times, we'll get irreverent.
Silly even.
And sometimes geek out on the data and technology that underlie the processes that drive the world of HR.
But the conversations are always insightful and fun. So please enjoy the HR Data Labs podcast.
And I know that in the past we couldn't own Workday, but I've heard there's this Workday Go thing. Can you tell me more about it? And they so desperately want to go back to, that like, we don't need to go find another system in 2 to 3 years. And those are really fun conversations because we're getting them back to the place that they want to be at a smaller company.
Wow, I love that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. Yep. So you bring up something that we talk about a lot, tech stack or all in one. We actually teach about this too. And when we, when folks go to market, that there's a difference, right?
Yeah.
So, but let's talk about tech fatigue.
Oh.
You've said smaller businesses often end up switching HCM or payroll providers every 18 to 24 months. Why does that happen so often? And how does Workday break that cycle?
Yeah. And I think it really goes back to we need to start with the end in mind. We need to think about where do we want to be? Where do we want to stay? Are we going to have M&A? I think and this is not, I think this is very large scale that we oftentimes look at, what's right in front of us instead of that further out. And I think that, again, the way to break it is to have the conversations. Just this week on I think it's the 19th and the 20th. So it's Wednesday and Thursday. We are hosting 2 webinars to get that out there. That message is, here's a product demo. I'm actually the one hosting it. So I'm doing the demo because I did demos for 7 years at Workday. And the other one is a 30-minute conversation with a customer, actually founder of one of our joint customers with Workday, saying why Workday Go has helped them, tremendously. And so again, I think that getting that message out is how we break the cycle, but it is still slow going, right? I feel like my entire job as a Workday and just general goodness of the ecosystem evangelist, all of my working years that I have left, I will not be able to reach all people's, right? But that is my goal, is to reach them all and say, there is a better way, and you don't have to calculate the regular rate of pay on a spreadsheet anymore.
For real. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it sounds like essentially that Workday can become the last system that a business will ever need, right? In my opinion.
You got it. Not just on HCM and payroll, right? It also has full financials. So when you think of core financials coupled with your core HCM data, think about the data that you can get at large when you couple money with people data, right? So what is happening here from a retention perspective in terms of the different types of allowances that we've maybe discontinued? Are we losing salespeople because we discontinued their car allowance? Is there a correlation between HR data and financial data? It's really, really wild, all the little use cases that you can think about when you marry those 2 pieces of data together. And we are doing these full platform deployments as well.
Wow.
So are you saying it's like a finance product for it?
So Workday Financials has been around as long as Workday HCM and Payroll. It's a full ERP in that way. So we're talking about core financials, accounting, accounts payable, accounts receivable, expenses, planning, both on the headcount and the financial planning side. It's literally one platform. So when you think about a small company saying, gosh, we can now consolidate not just our HCM and payroll tech stack, but we can bring in financials to the conversation as well. It becomes just a huge value proposition.
Wow.
And because now you can do labor models, right? And sales,
the what if
sales.
Got it.
Right. Where are sales doing at this location, but what does our labor look like? Low labor. Do we need so many people there? Right.
You're hitting the nail on the head. Labor optimization. Looking at that through the lens of scheduling. All of that is possible within Workday. And again, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everyone that the Go methodology, the Go package, is a go live quick, and then we add scheduling, labor optimization, advanced compensation, learning. Right. But it's very, very exciting what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's the other part. I'm sorry to cut you off, Walt. That's the other part that I wanted to comment on. You said comp and payroll are different, and some folks don't realize that, right? Like they think payroll is just, hey, so you do this and you do that. No, we just do payroll, right? We do payroll.
That's right, and I oftentimes remind people CPP and CCP are not spelled the same.
I love that. Yes, that's awesome. All right, Brian, this is all you, man.
Oh, right. Okay. So a lot of small business teams are lean, right? And because I hear the term down market, and I'm like, I don't like it. I'm going to go with lean and mean.
I like it. Yeah.
And everyone's wearing multiple hats, right? How does Workday make life easier for those teams, especially when they need quick wins and efficient processes?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So because Workday, the way it's architected, Workday is architected in just an incredible way. And yes, I drank the Kool-Aid a long time ago, if you can't tell.
Yeah, clearly.
The fabric of the architecture is really, really beautiful. And one of the benefits of a SaaS model is that you can actually build products that are plug and play and ready to go in the software. So instead of saying, I now have my software live and I'm going to go and I'm going to build this service set or product set within the software, which takes time, it takes knowledge, it takes energy and effort and all of those things. And that all translates to hard and soft dollars. We've actually built over 12 package solutions at 3Link that are just literally I want to buy it and turn it on in my tenant. So it's a same day The package has already been built, and it's just a migration to the customer tenant. So I'll give you an example. We have a payroll transparency package solution. So the payroll transparency solution is already built. The customer says, we want to buy this and plug this in. So we're using it at the point of go live or shortly thereafter. It's going to include everything from a full pay breakdown, trends, 401k and deduction visibility, all of these things that they might have to go build their own reports to visualize outside of the standard reports that are delivered. And we're able to plug and play that with a package solution.
Wow, I love that.
One thing that, in fact, I'll be honest, I had to reference some of these things that are on that dashboard because, well, I just don't know them all, totally by heart. Like I said, we have over 12 of them. I think we might even be moving to 15. I went to 3link.io, which is where all of our package solutions are listed. So they're very interactive, where somebody can go on and see, oh, here's all that's in the payroll transparency dashboard. And what are the benefits? What are the values? It's reducing HR ticket volume by up to 60%. So to be able to see that in the package solution right on 3link.io is very powerful.
Wow. So we were just talking about the help to all the payroll tickets and oh gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So going to more of a payroll perspective, right? What are some of the biggest payroll specific benefits that some small businesses will see after moving to Workday?
It's a good one.
Such a great question. And I said earlier, I used that term, all roads lead to payroll. In some 90% plus of HR transactions, new hires, terminations, I need to change my benefits because I got married or adopted or had a child. All of these things impact payroll. And yet in many systems, that data is sitting in a warehouse somewhere and it has to be imported or it has to be downloaded or there's some kind of ETL process that has to happen. And I think that's the most immediate benefit is not only are all of those things automatically, as I like to say, showing up in payroll, but all of the things that need to happen within payroll are happening at the same time. So what I mean by that is when I started at Workday in 2016, I told my payroll trainer, I feel like this was not just built by people that could build software, but this was built by people that understood domain, that actually understood the discipline of payroll. And somebody was asking the right questions as they were doing this. And it's very evident when you're in Workday running a payroll that it's pulling in a retro from a PTO that got approved late. Or it's pulling in a retro for a manager who didn't get that pay increase in on time. And it's automatic. I mean, it's just automatic. And it's not just plopped on a pay slip with no real reference of what that retro amount was. It's showing this is what they got paid and is reversed. And this is what they should have been paid if that pay rate had been put in on time.
I love
that. It's prorating when somebody is new hire in the middle of the period or terminated in the middle of the period. Every bit of software that I used for all of those, 13 years before I found Workday, I always had to go in and manually prorate for a new hire and a termination. Not in Workday. So we're prorating not just hourly, but also salary. It is prorating beautifully and perfectly. It is, those kinds of changes that happen where let's talk about arrears and benefits. Do we dare talk about that conversation? Somebody's on leave or, they didn't get paid for some, reason. They were on unpaid time off for a couple of weeks. They now have stored up some dollars that they potentially owe on their medical, dental, vision. Workday automatically tracks that in arrears. Again, I say, we've talked about benefits. We've talked about new hire, comp, term, onboarding, offboarding, all these things impact payroll, and they usually become manual transaction events. And that was the most noticeable thing when I started using Workday, realizing I could go out and evangelize this system to customers that are looking at buying it because of all the gray hairs it would have saved me from forming over the years that I ran payroll.
For real. For real. I mean, I'm almost like, where have you been all my life?
Yeah. I still say that, and I've been doing this for a decade.
Wow. And I love the whole all roads lead to payroll.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a double-edged sword though, right? Because
sure is.
We don't always want to, it's just such a tough, it's like a lot of weight on our shoulders when that because they expect you to know, and it's like, but that's not always it's not always your job, like.
No, half the battle is knowing where to go, right? I used to
Right.
have the payroll source. I lived and died by that, and it sat on my desk. And I didn't always know the
Oh,
answer, but I
you
knew I
dated
could go
yourself when it was
reference.
a book. Yeah,
It
it's
was a
not a book
book.
anymore.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know. I had it. I know.
I had multiple versions of the
Of
payroll
course.
source. And you
Yeah.
might remember, Brian, when we talked the first time, I told you that someone once described to me that payroll is like the perfect flush. Nobody calls the plumber
Oh,
to say thank you for
yes.
the perfect flush on my toilet, right? Nobody
Yes.
calls
Oh
to
my
say thank
God.
you. And so it is a non-event. And yet the minute, like, so I told you, my husband said, you're such a nerd and that's such a boring
Yep.
topic. And I said, it's not boring on payday. He's like, okay, yeah, you're right.
Oh, word. Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Oh
Yeah, this
man.
is so great.
So, okay, yeah. So we've heard you mention customers cutting payroll prep from days to hours. What typically drives that kind of dramatic savings once Workday is implemented?
A lot of it is that transactional flow, right? We're not having to ETL. We're not having to say, where did I have file fallout? Because it is truly one system. So that's the biggest reason for the reduction is we're not taking a commission file and a bonus file and time tracking file with hours and overtime and all these things and importing them in and then reconciling, right? Those
Yup.
transactions are made available to payroll right away. So that's
Wow.
by far the biggest one. The other one I would say is the audit functionality. So comes just standard with Workday are being able to audit payroll over payroll, not just by a dollar variance, but a percentage variance. So I like to call those my outliers, right? And my most common outlier is someone being paid too much. And I think we all have a story
Oh
of where a
yeah.
paycheck got cut and it was way
Mm,
too much. In fact, we could
mhm.
leave that for another conversation,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
let's just say big. I mean, I saw some
No
really crazy
bueno.
things over the
Yep.
years.
Oh
And
yeah.
so to have that outlier report that says, is somebody potentially getting a net of over $20,000 because that's our outlier threshold? Or what's the other really bad thing? Somebody getting a zero net check.
No money. Yep.
No money. And why can that happen? That can happen because somebody forgot to approve a timesheet. That
Yep.
could also happen because somebody made minimal amounts of dollars and, maybe all of their benefits or some attachment or
Yep.
something is trying to take all of those wages, and that's not good
Mhm.
either. And
Yep.
so our outliers are both at the top and the bottom. So to be able
Yep.
to run that outlier report by dollars, or to say, I just want to look at everyone that has any variance within 15% or above 15% of their last
Yep.
payroll.
Yep.
Now I'm really able to narrow down. So when I first started at Workday, we had a customer that had been with Workday for several years at that point that said that they used to print a PDF report from their payroll system and they'd have to go
Mhm.
line by line in the
Mhm.
PDF report, highlighting all of the things that they needed to go back and actually adjust. And when
Wow.
she came to Workday, now she's able to just deal with the exceptions. So instead of going through every line, she's
Yes.
only looking at the fallout that's above or below her threshold.
That's what I'm waiting for. And we
Ooh.
had a whole show about what we would do with AI, right? And that is what I want to do. I just want to say, hey, I want to see this variable, like
That's right.
this. Show me just this,
Yep.
and the threshold and the things. And oh gosh, I can't wait. I
Yep.
can't wait.
This is so great. So, for the small business owners and companies that are going to listen to this episode and they're going to think to themselves, maybe Workday is possible for us, what should their very first step be?
Yeah, gosh, there's so many options, but I think the easiest one to really connect with our team is just to go to threelink.com. That's spelled out THREELINK.com. There's a quick, connect with us email kind of thing there. There's also on the threelink.io site I already referenced, there's a get in touch on every package solution there. So if something really jumps out to someone and they're like, I really love this payroll transparency dashboard, and there's many others, right? We have testing bots and agents and really, really cool things. They might be interested in that. That get in touch will allow them to communicate right away. That's always faster, I think. In our team is going to be smaller than reaching out to Workday, and obviously somebody will eventually get back to them, but it's a much larger proposition going to Workday directly than just coming to our team, and we can help navigate those conversations as a Workday only partner.
Yeah,
awesome. You mentioned an acronym earlier that I don't think I've heard before. FTL. Do you remember saying that?
Oh, ETL?
Is it ETL? What does that mean?
Extract, transform, and load. That's pretty much what we are doing all the time.
Transform, and load.
So think about when we have a separate time tracking system, and we have to pull that time tracking data down for hours, overtime, double time, and then we have to get it into a proper format to get it uploaded into payroll. That is ETL in action.
That's our job. Yeah.
All goes away. That manual effort goes away when all the transactions live in the same database that the payroll is being processed.
Wow.
Love it. So, sorry to sidetrack there, but if someone reaches out to 3Link for that discovery call you mentioned, right? What can they expect? What does that conversation look like? How do you help them understand the real value and scalability of Workday?
That's a good question, and I take a big breath because I take it very seriously to make sure.
We can tell. I don't know if anybody else can tell here, but I can tell.
I take it very seriously to make sure that I am articulating the power of Workday without overwhelming a prospective customer, right? I may not necessarily be the representative that they would be working with, but it doesn't matter. If I'm talking to them, I want to articulate the power without overwhelming them with too much. Because again, MVP is possible, and then we can always add more product later. And so I think that explaining what is happening in a 60-day project, what is happening, and what am I going to have on day one when I go live in a 60-day project? I think that that's probably one of the most important things. But then we talk about discovery. Discovery truly is that, right? We're discovering. And in that discovery process, we're asking some questions. Because what we would never want to do is scope a project and not have something very important to a customer included in that project. I got asked this week, why don't all tech vendors on the HR payroll side do a discovery? I said, well, because they can't really do anything about what you tell them. There's not going to be any ability to go in, and it's going to only highlight the inability for the system to do what you need. Exactly. Yes. And so our discovery is around, like, we want to actually make sure that the things Workday can do, either we're turning them on in phase one, and if we can't, because 60 days is only 60 days, and we can't make a 6-month project a 60-day project.
Right.
But then how do we adopt after that all of those other things that are important? So that conversation is very twofold, right? It's, yes, we're conveying the power, but we also really want to understand from the customer what's important to them.
Wow, this is awesome. So Trista, we're all out of questions for you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we conclude?
I will just hit hard on, I am looking forward to my payroll sweatshirt.
Yeah. Yes. I'm going to reach out to Troy Markison.
Yes. Wear it proudly.
Yes, absolutely. He's going to love it. Yeah. It's so cool. All right. Before we let you go, we love to play this game, This or That, just to break the whole payroll thing up a little bit.
Yeah.
Walt, you want to take the first three? I'll take the last.
Yes, sir. So would you prefer a road trip or a flight?
Oh, always a flight. I did a lot of road trips in my early 20s, and those days are way behind me. I will fly from Dallas to Houston in a heartbeat.
Oh, I love that. All right. So do you prefer bi-weekly or semi-monthly payroll?
Ooh, gosh. I'm going to say semi-monthly because I feel like it really accrues better for the month and the year, where with the 26th, there's always that question. There's the two problems, right? And I know I'm going long on the answer, but there's, do we take that 20, the extra 2 paychecks every month? And what happens when we have 27 paychecks? And we just avoid that whole mess with semi-monthly. 86.67. It's clean.
I love that.
But, okay. I'm not going to get caught up. All right. I'm not going to do it. Next question.
Now Brian wants to have another conversation about that.
Yes. Right. So, no. Next question.
All right. So, would you rather have Texas barbecue or Tex-Mex?
Ooh, that is hard. I think and being here in the great Lone Star State, I Oh, that is so hard. We just had barbecue last night too. I'm going to go, if
See?
somebody forced me, I'm going to say Tex-Mex. I really do love it.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right. Oh gosh. Really? Auditing or being audited?
That is a layup.
Yeah, right. That's what I was.
Yeah, I helped a company years ago do an audit, time and labor audit for the Department of Labor, and it was not fun, but it would be it was way more fun than I think it ever would be to
Then-
be audited.
Yes. I had that in New York. I had it was Department of Labor, and they came in. It was so painful.
Oh, it is.
Days and days of just like what?
Yep.
I don't know.
Piecing
And oh
together
gosh,
so much,
yes,
and
yes,
but it felt less personal because it wasn't me trying to justify me. I was trying to help the customer be better, and that just was way easier than I think than
yeah.
through
Heck yeah.
my litany of whatever.
Yes. All right. Shania Twain or Carrie Underwood?
I'm going to have to go Shania. Carrie's very talented, but Shania was like there when I was younger and like pre-American
There you
Idol.
go.
And, there's something about her standing in the doorway, like doing the, cool song. She's just very cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right. Last one. Football Sunday or church Sunday?
Wow. Okay. So I'm not a footballer. I'm not a footballer.
It could be neither also, right?
Yeah, it could be neither. I think, overall I would prefer church Sunday. And sometimes that's online, sometimes that's in person. It just kind of depends on my vibe. But my husband would love for me to be a football Sunday gal. So
I think a lot of us would really love that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Cowboys fanatic.
Oh, why did I ask? As you can see, the Giants.
Yeah. No such luck in this home. Nope.
I bet. I mean, you're in Texas. My brother's a Dallas fan, and I'm like, dude, really? And later found out why, but whatever.
Well, we all wonder why anyone is a Dallas fan too. I mean, it's pretty sad.
Oh my gosh.
But see, it's every team had its dynasty era. A
sure
lot
did.
of teams had that, right? That dynasty era, and that's where we all become fans. We lock in, and we got to stay in.
It's the hope.
Totally agree. And there was a really cool documentary on Netflix about it, and I thought it was really awesome with Jerry Jones and kind of seeing what he did and the heart of the 90s football. It was actually quite inspiring. It almost made me become a fan.
Almost. Oh.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Oh man, Trista, it's been such a pleasure, and
likewise.
Like anybody that comes on the show, it's your home. If you ever want to come back, this is your welcome, open door.
Yes,
and
Thank you.
We'd love to have you back. Yeah, for sure.
We look forward to sharing that. We were on it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Look, and look, if this will post after your webinars, but if you share the links with us, we're happy to share them online this week and
love it.
Spread the word. Yeah,
Thank
for sure.
you.
Because I think I honestly, as much as I've heard about Workday, I did not know all the things that you shared today.
Exactly.
Love it.
Right. So I think it's and again, if we didn't know, I'm sure there's other payroll folks that didn't know. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, 3Link, for sharing as well. I'm going to end it on a quote today. Technology is best when it brings people together. Matt Mullenweg. I love that. Perfect choice of quote today, sir.
Absolutely.
Walt does a great job of curating these quotes and the this or that's. So we appreciate it. All right, folks. Till the next time, we love you. And thank you so much, Trista, again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.